Folks, we're back. Thanks for joining again for another episode of Money Talks. We're here this week with Alex White. He's a personal injury attorney. Alex, thank you for your time.
Sure thing.
I know business is booming and busy, so thanks for squeezing us in. You grew up in Virginia. I've heard some of your stories.
West Virginia.
West Virginia. Excuse me.
Not Western Virginia.
Yeah, West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Got it. Went to Marshall University, and then how did you choose Louisville as law school?
Sure. So I was born and raised in Huntington, and that's where Marshall's located. I'm a big Marshall University fan.
Okay.
And the options that I had for law school were I got accepted to the University of South Carolina, University of West Virginia, and University of Louisville. South Carolina was too far away. West Virginia was home of the Mountaineers, and there's no way I could do that. So I chose out-of-state tuition at U of L to bypass going to West Virginia, even with their in-state tuition and a scholarship offer.
You mentioned in-state tuition as opposed to out-of-state tuition, and obviously that the deciding factor there is cost. Were you nervous about taking on that cost?
Yes. I was very nervous when I graduated and realized how much it actually cost. I just wanted to go to law school, period. I knew that it was going to be expensive, but it was a reality check after you graduate and you see the balance of how much you've spent in 3 years on tuition
right.
and living expenses, etc.
It's pretty substantial. Well, you have a unique and compelling story in that you started your own firm pretty quickly out of law school and an internship. Were you nervous about taking that on? And what financial concerns did you have? Can you elaborate on that for us?
Sure. So when I graduated law school, I was $126,000 in student loan debt. I was very nervous. I didn't have any clients. They don't teach you how to practice law in law school. And I was pretty much on my own, with the exception of my internship that I had in the legal department at Louisville Slugger, Hildreth and Bradsby. I was so nervous, in fact, that when I was being sworn into the bar, I went blind in part of my right eye.
Really?
So come to find out, it was stress-induced shingles. I remember the doctor told me, have you been under a lot of stress lately? And I thought, well, I started a law firm last week, knowing nothing, with no clients and nothing but debt. Yeah, I think I have been. So it was a very stressful. It was a very stressful thing to do to start out. Yeah, it was tough.
So what about the financial concerns? What financial concerns did you have when taking that step? Because like you said, you finished law school with $120,000 in student loan debt, mm-hmm. and then starting a business has costs of its own.
Yep. So the way that I looked at it was, at the time, anything that I spent with the business and anything I spent at my house was the same bottom line. So whether I could get skinny with costs that I spent to run the office or get skinny with my personal living expenses, I needed to do both to get a very low, monthly net of what I needed for survival.
Sure.
And I made accommodations by moving into the smallest, cheapest apartment that I could find. I even bought my own hair clipper to give myself haircuts to save another $15-20 a month. I was doing everything from eating ramen noodles and popcorn for dinner to just, being very, very frugal in any way that I could at home so that I didn't have to make thousands of dollars every month to survive and pay rent, etc.
Sure. So now, did you have to take on more debt to fund this venture?
No, I didn't. Luckily, I had, I always had a small nest egg from other businesses and work that I did during law school and during undergrad. So I had cash, small cash, to start out the practice. And at the end of each month, I knew what I needed to have to kind of play the game the next month as far as pay my rent, pay my office rent, etc. So as long as I had that much in reserves, I knew I could still work, basically, and that's how it started out when you're self-employed. You got to have enough to work the next month. And early on, as soon as possible, I tried to set away 6 months of expenses in cash, so that way I knew that at least I could work for 6 months. At least I could work for 6 months. For me, the more frugal I could live at home, the longer that could stretch.
Sure.
So,
and it's difficult to do. I mean, it's a sacrifice across the board for years and years. Now, another thing that's unique is that the field of law that you decided to open a business in and practice in is completely different than where you interned.
mm-hmm.
So how did that transition take place?
Two things happened to me that kind of got me where I am. First of all, somebody explained to me that if you start your own law firm, that you are an attorney in a business, and that a law firm is a business first. And when I realized that being a lawyer, if you're self-employed, is being a business owner first and then an attorney, that got really exciting for me, and that was something that I wanted to do. And then another thing was I'd been in 2 motor vehicle accidents, 2 car wrecks.
Really?
And that experience twice, literally wreck to check, and seeing the battle with the insurance carriers and kind of what goes on, really gave me firsthand experience with personal injury that made me motivated and want to do personal injury more.
Okay, I got it. So now that business is fledgling and that is the direction that you've traveled, what are some things that you're passionate about from a business and legal standpoint?
Mm-hmm. So all that took place 7 years ago. Actually, our Alex R. White PLLC birthday was this week, as far as the anniversary date of when I filed with the Secretary of State.
Happy birthday then.
Thanks. We're 7 years old now. But no, we've done a lot in 7 years.
That's a really grown-up baby.
My passion is two-pronged. One, I'm very passionate about personal injury law. Like I said, I had my own personal experiences coming into it, but during my career in the last 7 years, we've had battle after battle after battle, hundreds, maybe thousands of lawsuits with the insurance carriers for victims, for injured parties. And so many times I feel like we're on the right side of the battle of good and evil sometimes in a lot of these cases. And I really enjoy that. And I want to be the advocate. I want to be a great attorney for our clients so that we can get good results. And I'm motivated by that in the industry. The other side is I want to be a good business owner. I want to run good numbers, run a smart business model, have employees that like coming to work, and just build a team that is a fun atmosphere to be in. Because I'm self-employed, this office, is a huge part of my life. I want people that I like to work with and to be happy here, and to just build a good environment, because it's where I work too.
What do you account for the success that this business has achieved and realized? What has allowed you to be successful?
First and foremost, luck, and literally just blessings from God, period. I've been very lucky in some of the way things have fallen. Things that were outside of my control, but we were able to benefit from. So I'm very blessed in that regards, especially early on in my career. Other than that, I think that the answers and what I would tell entrepreneurs or people that are self-employed or that want to be self-employed is hard work is so important. You got to get lucky in business, but at the same time, you can help make some of your own luck. And the harder you work, the more opportunities you're going to have for good things to come your way. And my story is one of blood, sweat, and tears from the beginning to even now.
Well, I know you well enough, and I was hoping that you would expound on that. I agree with the luck part to an extent. You have to be in the right place at the right time, and you can't necessarily control that. That some of that is out of your control, with the timing. But I don't think anybody is successful with what we do, building businesses on our own, without the blood, sweat, and tears. I mean, it takes a sacrifice. It takes determination. And again, I know you well enough to see that. I see the hours that are put in, and I see the culture that's being created in this office, and I know that the driving force is, the back office, and a lot of times what people don't necessarily see. And I'm seeing a common trend now in conducting these money talks. We interviewed a really good friend of mine last week, John Moel at Broker House Lending, and he similar story, but recognizing that, hey, sometimes it makes sense to go and ask somebody else to come in and help me do this,
Yeah.
or to pay and outsource something, because we need to focus on what we do best,
Right.
and that's practicing law or giving financial advice for retirement planning and things like that. And in making an effort to do it yourself to save money, in the long run, you're just hurting yourself.
Absolutely. One thing that I learned at Marshall with my business degree is specialization. Specialization is so important. Whatever you do that you're good at, you want to do that the most. And even though I have a degree in finance, I studied accounting. I have an accountant that handles all of our payroll, all of our taxes, etc. So anything that I can outsource to where, as the business owner, I can focus on things that I'm good at, and they can focus on things that they're good at, I think is a win. Another advice that I give anybody that talks to me about either starting their own law firm or starting their own business, I always say, absolutely first thing you should do is hire an accountant, work with an accountant. It's going to save you so much time, so much headache, so much stress. It's going to allow you to like your job a lot more if you don't have to deal with stuff that's ancillary to what you actually went in business to do.
Right. So what just briefly tell us about, what are the next steps for Alex White PLLC? Where do you see the firm going? What would you like to take place in the next 5 years?
Well, we just finished a renovation to our building. So I've invested heavily in the physical plant this year. We've updated how things look, so where it's a more fun, better looking environment to work. We built an addition, and this is going to allow me to hire some additional attorneys and some additional staff. So, we plan to grow a fair amount in the next 2 years for sure. We're in the middle, and we just started a pretty decent, I think, splash of our marketing campaign that we're going to see through for a while, and it's been really exciting. So,
tell us about that, because I was going to ask.
Okay, so in this industry, it's personal injury is probably the most. It is personal injury is the most competitive industry in the legal field, and
well, kudos for that too, because there's a lot of competition for you, especially in this city.
There's a lot of competition that's been here a long time, and they've got the brand name that's been well established for years, if not decades. And it's very, very, very competitive. So, but it's time for us to kind of take the battle to them and to compete where the big personal injury firms live, and that's on TV. So, in September we launched our first TV campaign and marketing the website suedrunkdriver.com, and the buzz has been wild so far. The commercials have been running now for, I guess, a month. So it's second week of October now. It started September 5th. The buzz has been fantastic. And it's a good message too, which I like. My story is so different from a lot of attorneys, I feel like, and other personal injury attorneys, that I wanted our marketing to be unique and different as well. And the fun thing about suedrunkdriver.com is it's its own public service announcement. If you hear suedrunkdriver.com, yes, obviously it's marketing for us, but it's also a message. Don't drink and drive. So I'm really excited about the splash that we've made with it in the last month, because we're telling people not to drink and drive.
Sure. And
already in a short amount of time, I've heard so much feedback from people where they've shared our commercials on Facebook. Or they've got their friends some of our swags at suedrunkdriver.com.
Right.
We put a pledge on the website, suedrunkdriver.com, pledge to not drink and drive. I personally mail you a t-shirt that says Sue Drunk Driver on it. Somebody sent me a text message the other day. Their friend said, I was at the bar the other night and I kept thinking about that stupid shirt and pledge, so I had to take an Uber home. It was $30. And we're literally changing the decision pattern that people are making.
Remember, suedrunkdriver.com. If you'll go to Alex White's website and pledge not to drink and drive, he will personally mail you a t-shirt. And kudos, Alex. You've built a wonderful business, and you're building a wonderful brand in the city. And I'm proud to be here. Thanks for the time. I'm also proud to be your friend.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks.